Hello and welcome to part 13 of this tutorial for making an asteroid game. In this video we're going to learn how to get points and display them on the screen. As you can see there, as I shoot asteroids, and I've shot that enemy ship there. As the asteroids break down, my score goes up in the corner there. Okay, whenever you're going to write text on the screen, one of the first things you have to do is set up a font. Tell the computer which font you want to use. Now, the reason you have to do this, and you can't just pick some default font or something, is that if you play this on different machines and the machine does not have the font that you want to use, it will not look right. So what this does is this imports the font that you want from the computer that you're currently working on, so that regardless of what system you're playing it on, it will look the way you want it to. So first thing, again, we have to create a font. So we're over here, right here, just like with the sprites and the objects, you just right click and go create. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And you can see this is the default font. If I didn't do this at all, this is what would show up on the screen. But again, it's kind of plain and kind of small, so we're gonna fix it up a little bit here. Now, you can pick whichever font is available on your computer. You can go to the internet and download fonts and pick something that you like. What I'm going to do in this one is I'm going to pick a specific one that I kind of like, so it works pretty well in a situation like this. It's the one that's on there right now. First thing we need to do is name the font, and I'm just going to call it FNT Score. Again, I'm using the same kind of naming convention I've been using before. Lowercase FNT for font, and then the word score with a capital S. Now, the font I'm going to use is Bank Gothic LTBT. Now, again, you may not have this on your computer. If not, just pick something you like. You just go around and you look, and you can pick different fonts. See, there's a whole slew of them here. You can pick, there's Calibri, there's even brush script. You can have all sorts of fancy ones, but just be careful. They don't always look very good on the screen. So let me go back to the one I had when it was Bank Gothic LTBT. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. This is how big roughly it's going to show up on the screen. It's a little bit distorted because I'm zooming in on it, but this kind of gives you an idea how big it's going to be on the screen. So I can pick down here. This is the size. I'm actually going to double this to 24 because I want it to be very visible on the screen. And this anti-aliasing, what this does is it makes it a little bit smoother, not quite so blocky when it's displaying on the screen. Also, you got this setting here, light. Now, some fonts have different variations here that you can do. So this is just the only version that you've got in this. So we're just going to stick with that. Okay, and you just click. It's already created here, so we're going to close it out up here. Let me move it down here so you can see. Just close it out right there. It's already there. If we ever want to edit it or we don't like the size, we just come double click here and we can change the size. Alright, the next step to display the text on the screen is we got to get some object to draw it. We're going to go ahead and use a controller since it always exists. So I'm going to double click on Object Controller, and I'm going to go to the draw event. We've already got it drawing the health bars here, so we're now going to get it to draw more than that. I guess I don't need all that on the side there. Let me zoom in here. Let's bring this up a little bit so we can see the whole window here. Okay, so to make it draw text, the code we're gonna use that draws text. Actually, let me put a space here and some notes here. Draw score. Okay, so that tells it we're gonna That just lets us know later on that this is going to draw the score. And I may even want to, up here, I can, which health bar is this? This is the shield health. So, whoops. Draw shield health bar. Okay, so this will help later on if we have to do some debugging. We can know where to go. Okay, so draw score. Here it's going to be very simple. We're going to use draw text, and then this is where, again, you've looked down here and it tells you this is where it's asking where we want it to go. We can tell it that we want it to be on, if we want it in the upper left corner, since the upper left corner is 0, 0, if we wanted to bring it in just a little bit, we'll just do that. We'll use 10 on the X and 10 on the Y. So it'll come in 10 from the left and 10 pixels down. Then the next thing it's going to ask is, this is going to show what we want it to write. So we want it to write the word score, so with an open quotation mark like this, open score, colon, and then space, and then a closing quote. This will actually write the word score, colon, and then space, and then we want it to actually put the score. So you just go plus, and then you type in the word string. Oh, you got to spell string correctly though. And then you're going to use the word score. Now, fortunately for us, score is a built-in variable. It's not, we don't have to set it anywhere or do anything like that. It is built in. Okay. So draw text 1010 score, and then so this is what's going to get drawn. It's going to show the word score, and then it's going to actually show our score. Okay. Okay, so let's test it, and you'll see that you'll end up having to make some corrections here. Okay, first of all, it's really, really tiny. This is because even though we set a font, we didn't really tell it what we wanted to do. And then, we fixed this error before. Okay, but there was an error that popped up when I originally made this game, and it had to do with the alpha channel, it fading in and out. All right, so we've got to tell it now we want it to be the font we want. Okay, so before we draw the text, we have to tell it to set the font. And the text that does that is draw, set, font, and then you tell it the name of the font that you use. So if you come over here and you see there's FNT score, that's what goes here, FNT score. And we close it, semicolon at the end here, and play again. And you'll see now it is going to be using the font that we told it to. See? And if you ever don't like it and it's not big enough or it's too big, all you have to do to fix it is just go into the score font and see, I can change this now to, let's say I can make it, let's just go wild here and go 100. And then if we play the game, you see, now the score is super huge. Okay, so we can go back, and I'm going to change this back to 24. That's the size I like. Okay. Play the game, make sure it's back to normal. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now the next thing we do is we've got to, let me move this out. And notice that I'm typing all this before the it actually draws it. So I'm going to add another thing here. I can go between this here. I want to set the color. Let's say I don't like white. I want to make it a different color. So I can draw, set, color. And then in here, you just type in C underscore, whoops, underscore, not dash. And you see, I showed you this before. It gives you a whole list of different values you can use here. I'm going to go ahead and just use yellow. Close it, and then you play it, and you see now it is yellow. See? All right. Now, a couple of other things that you're not going to see that it really does anything at this point, but we can set how it's aligned here, and I'll show you. I'll put them in there, and I'll show you what it does left and right. So I'm going to go draw, set. We're going to go. Let's go horizontally first. H align, and we want it to be from the left. We want it to be anchored on the left. So right now it's on the left, but I'm gonna show you what happens if you put right. And you go FA_right, and look at our text now. See, now it's our anchor point was right here, 10. Now it's drawing all of our text off the screen here. See, so if I change it, and if I change this to center, we got to spell center correctly. And there we go. See, now it's centered here. We're still right here, but you see the rest of our score is not showing there. So then let's go ahead and put it back to left, and you see, oops, it becomes left aligned. So now it's got its anchor point in the left right here. 1010 is about right there, and it just draws it to the left. So and so you got that's the horizontal alignment. I'm going to just copy this and paste it the line below, and I'm going to change this H to a V. And what this does is just change the now we're worried about the vertical alignment, and instead of left, right, and center, our choices are top, bottom, and middle. So I want it to be anchored from the top, which is the default setting. But if we put other text in here, it may mess this one up, and it not show up right. So we want to make sure that we tell this specific text that we want it aligned like this. Now I'm not going to show it because nothing has changed. So I just want you to know your options here are top, bottom, and middle. For H align, your choices are left, right, and center. Okay. Now, the one last thing I want to make sure you add is image alpha. Draw, set, alpha. This will just ensure that our text will not be the text will not be transparent or fade away or be invisible. It will always make sure that it is fully visible when it gets drawn. Okay. Okay. Draw that. And there you go. There's your score. Of course, you got to hit something first. Okay, now notice we made a score, or we're hitting things, but we're not getting any score. Okay? The reason being is we haven't told it to do it. So now that's the next step. We got to tell it when we're doing score. Now remember, the word score here, lowercase like this, is a built-in variable, and that's what we're going to use to start adding score. Okay, the trick of this part is figuring out where you want to add score. Now in this game it's pretty straightforward. Whenever the asteroid gets destroyed is when we want points here. So it's in the asteroid event, or the asteroid object, and we're going to go into its destroy event here. Okay, now here's where everything gets done here. And we want to have a different score. We could set it where you get the same amount of points no matter what type of asteroid you destroy, but we want to make it a little bit more equitable here, because if you hit it's easier to hit a large asteroid than it is a medium asteroid, and easier to hit a medium than a small. So we're going to assign points appropriately. So let me zoom in here. Again, I am in the destroy event of the asteroid. Okay. So right here we say, okay, this is when it's being destroyed. If it is the large asteroid, if Sprite is the large asteroid, then we want to put score here. So we have to put the score in somewhere between these two brackets, and it really doesn't matter where. But you don't want it. You don't want it within the repeat part here, because then your score will just be multiplied by 4. Okay, so it's got to be in here. I'm going to go ahead and just put it right at the top here. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm just going to go score plus equals, and again plus equals makes it add to the existing score. Now we got to figure out how much we want it to be. The large asteroid, I'm just going to make it 5 points. Score plus equals 5. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, just this line. I'm just going to select right here and copy down to the next line. And then I'm going to copy that. Then I'm going to do the same thing in the other one. So here's the medium asteroid. I'm just going to go right there and Control V and see it gives me another one. Now I'm going to make since the medium asteroid is smaller, I'm just going to double that score to a 10. And then I'm going to come down to the small asteroid. Okay, now notice there is no thing for if small asteroid, so now I've got to make that myself here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. There is a section down here. Sorry, I couldn't see with the scrolling. So let me move this up a little bit so we can zoom in again. Okay, so okay, we still have this in the clipboard, so I'm just going to go down here. If it's a small asteroid, again in the same place, and then the large was 5 points, the medium was 10, so I'm going to make this double the medium, so it makes it 20. Okay. And then one other thing, we want the ship, the enemy ship. If we hit the enemy ship, we want to add some points to that. So let's go to the enemy ship over here. Double click, and again let's go in the destroy event, and same thing here. We got to make sure we don't put it in the repeat here, otherwise you'll end up with problems. So I'm just going to put it right at the end, and since this guy is really hard to hit, I'm going to make them worth 100 points. Okay, so now if we play the game, we'll watch our score change as we destroy our asteroids and destroy our... Oop, I got something over there. Okay, there's all the little pieces coming out. There we go. Oh, here comes the enemy. Let's see. Oh, I gotta move out of the way before he kills me. Oh. Okay, now see, there's our restore button. Come on. Come on, enemy. There he goes. There we go. See, and we got a lot of points for that. Okay. All right, so there's your score. So you can set up a whole bunch of scenarios where you add more score to that, but it's always displayed there. Okay, we will see you in the next video.